Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday caught my attention recently. Ryan achieved some pretty extraordinary success early in his career, and at the age of 21, he became the director of marketing for American Apparel. With all the success he's gotten to experience and witness the destruction of unchecked ego, he's now a bestseller author of 4 books at 29 years old. Ryan sees ego as such a threat to his long-term success, which is why he has a tattoo that says, "Ego is the enemy." What exactly is ego, and why is it so harmful? Ryan defines ego as an unhealthy belief in one's own importance. An obsession with one's image becomes an obsession with ego. The disease of me takes confidence and turns it into arrogance, which is why Patrick Riley refers to it as the disease of me. And why would Ryan need to get a tattoo to remind himself of this every day? The ego sabotages our long-term goals and distracts us from mastering our craft, according to Ryan. Here are 3 ways you can see your ego working against you. Number 1, ego shows up when you aspire to do something great. It seeks constant approval from others around us. Ryan tells the story of author Emily Gould's battle with the ego. It's always asking what others think about you. It prefers talking about what you're going to do rather than actually doing it. In the process of writing her book, she was constantly updating her social media pages and her blog. She says that she tumbled, tweeted, and scrolled, but it didn't pay me a lot, but it felt like work. It was scary for her for an entire year to go silent and work on her book that she would later be proud of because she did everything except focus on it. Due to her overly concerned ego about what her Twitter followers might think, she made little progress on her book. Number 2, ego manifests when we achieve notable success such as launching a successful business or winning a championship. When we become overconfident in our ability and take on too much, we tend to become overconfident and take on too much. Our ego causes us to believe that all future endeavors will be successful. Ryan recounts the story of Howard Hughes. At the age of 18, Howard Hughes bought out his relatives and owned 100% of his family's oil drilling company, which turned out to be a brilliant move that became a huge success for the Hughes Tool Company. Despite having essentially no experience in business, Ryan says the company grew to become a billion-dollar company from a $1 million business. He did so with the same boldness that he used throughout his career. A huge initial success led Hughes to believe he could succeed in almost any business, leading him to create one of the most embarrassing, wasteful, and dishonest business records in history. His career path led him into aviation, film, and stock trading. Despite being regarded as a pioneer, Hughes ultimately spent most of his wealth. Hughes sat naked in his favorite white chair near the end of his life, unwashed and unkempt, struggling around the clock to hide his shameful secrets and fight lawyers, investigations, and investors in the attempt to save his empire. A lack of talent, time, and money resulted from his ego, fueled by early success. Number 3, ego shows up in our lives when we experience failure or setback. During this time, we lose sight of what we've achieved and erode the progress we've made while trying to defend our ego, just in time to save face and dodge responsibility. Ryan illustrates this point by telling the story of American Apparel founder Dov Charney. In the wake of losses of $300 million and numerous scandals, Ryan says, the company offered him a choice. He could step down as CEO and serve as a creative consultant for a large salary or be fired. His decision was to create an internal war instead of helping his company find better leadership and return to greatness. He rejected both options and chose something much worse. By suing the company, he brought it to the brink of bankruptcy, which it may never recover from. As a result of his ego's failure, he turned hostility into failure instead of recognizing that saving the company was more important than saving face, ultimately destroying the company he had spent so much time and money building, leaving him homeless in all 3 phases. If ego is the enemy, how do we defeat it? It distracts you from doing the work and delivering something you are proud of. A good method is the plus-minus-equal method coined by Frank Shamrock, a great UFC fighter. It is essential for each fighter to have someone better. It is possible to learn from someone lesser, to teach, and to challenge themselves against someone equal. Solution 1. For the first form of ego that shows up when we're aspiring to do something great, we need to find an ego in order to defeat it. An ego is someone who is ambitious and at your current skill level and who pushes you to continuously improve your ego, challenge your abilities, and force you to grow in order to maintain who you are. When you have an ego, you have no time to obsess over public opinion because doing so would be wasting your time and you would risk falling behind. For example, if you aspire to be a great writer, surround yourself with other writers and share your goals, read each other's publications, and push one another to constantly improve. Solution 2. The second form of ego that shows up whenever we succeed needs a plus to be defeated. When ego starts generating stories of our greatness, it is important to remain humble, to remain focused on our ultimate goal. Humility comes from remembering there is always someone better than us and always something bigger than us. You could have a plus when you have a mentor whose accomplishments make your success seem rather small compared to someone who has achieved much, much more than you have. Reflecting on the immensity of the world around you could also be a way to experience a plus in your life. When you realize how small you really are, you can take a drive in the mountains or walk along the ocean shoreline. To quiet the ego and prevent getting caught up in your own story of greatness, it is essential to reflect on something or someone bigger than yourself. This prevents you from taking on too much and being careless with your resources and time. Solution 3. The third form of ego that shows up when we fail, we need a minus. You must teach what you have learned when you have a minus. You can use a minus to examine your failures objectively and learn lessons to pass down to others when you are required to. You spend less time complaining and more time looking for ways to improve. If you want to find your minus, you can mentor someone younger, write a book of lessons to pass down to your children, or write a daily blog. The key to striving for excellence is to realize that your ego is your enemy, and to fight back that ego.